Good evening and welcome back. Thanks for starting off the week with us here at Your News Today, the 4th of July week. Yes, Independence Day, now less than a week away. We'll be talking about that to some degree tonight, and I suspect maybe throughout the week as well. Headlines tonight will, of course, include an update on your weather forecast, a tornado watch, no warnings, but a watch in effect until 9 o'clock this evening, and we'll outline the potential for severe weather lingering in your forecast thereafter as well. We'll back up and cover a few headlines from Friday. I'll wrap up coverage of the McGoffin County Fiscal Court session, and we'll also have a couple of other reports from then, and we'll talk about a couple of power outages over the course of your weekend, which were not directly weather related, even though we've seen a lot of active weather with winds and things of that nature. So we'll talk about that. I've got a whole lot of other reports as well. I'll remind you about the 4th of July events as have been set here in Sayersville, McGoffin County, and I've got a little bit out of Johnson County as well, and a whole lot of other news and information to start off this week, this 4th of July week here at Your News Today. We'll begin with a couple of reports from the Kentucky State Police, the first of which says they are investigating a fatal auto accident that took place in eastern Kentucky since I saw you last. The State Police from Post 9 in Pikeville says they're looking into a fatal accident that took place very early this morning. Now, this investigation reportedly indicates that 23-year-old Joy Varney of Lower Johns Creek was driving south on Caney Creek Road in the Golden community in Pikeville when she lost control of the vehicle. It left the roadway and then struck a tree. Varney was transported from the scene by the TranStar ambulance service to the Pikeville Medical Center, and she was pronounced dead at that facility just moments later. Information obtained at the scene, says Post 9, indicates that Varney was not wearing her seatbelt at the time of the collision, and that alcohol does not appear to be a factor in the crash, which once again is still under investigation. Accompanying that press release from Post 9 was the following. They are asking for the public's help in a hit and run from Floyd County, where now they have some surveillance video, a clip showing a vehicle that may be related to the death of 52-year-old Jeffrey Turner. This grainy black and white image is that from a security system. It is believed to be the vehicle that may be involved in a hit and run accident in Floyd County. It goes back to a Thursday of this month, on the 18th day of this month, when 52-year-old Jeffrey Turner from Martin was found to be fatally injured. He was still lying in the roadway off Kentucky Route 80 in the community of Martin. His injuries not immediately fatal. He did make it to the hospital, but was pronounced dead sometime thereafter from the injuries he sustained in the collision with the vehicle which fled the scene. An investigation by the Kentucky State Police says that Turner's injuries were a result of being struck by a vehicle that fled the scene, and they believe this may be it. Detectives from Post 9 were able to obtain surveillance footage showing a white passenger car in the area at the time of the accident. They also say that the vehicle's make and model is unknown at this time, but they're asking if anyone has any information pertaining to the case, the possible identification of the vehicle, and or the owner. And you can forward that information to Post 9 at Pikeville, either 433-7711 or their toll-free number, 1-800-222-5555. And they do want to stress that callers can remain anonymous. It's a white, four-door, relatively late model, we do believe, passenger vehicle, a sedan that may be linked to a hit-and-run accident, once again, that claimed the life of 52-year-old Jeffrey Turner of Martin on June the 18th. A few headlines tonight are related to some that came out Friday before I left you, one being the fallout that is starting to emerge as it relates to the Supreme Court ruling pertaining to gay marriages across the nation. Today, we've learned that some Kentucky court clerks are refusing to issue marriage licenses, not to just gay and lesbian couples, but to any couple whatsoever, in protest of the United States Supreme Court ruling on Friday. Casey County, Lawrence County, Rowan County, the initial short list of those county court clerks which are following suit, citing their religious beliefs. So far, we know of only those, but we are expecting maybe a few other counties to follow suit. A spokesman for the governor's office says they are reviewing the situation to try to figure out how to respond to the matter. And there's a novel idea. Let's see what the ramifications and repercussions are going to be before you change or make a law or destroy potential potentially an industry and its people. Talking about a win today for the coal and energy industry. The Supreme Court ruled today against the EPA's effort to limit certain power plant emissions, saying the agency unreasonably failed to consider the cost of the regulations. While those rules cutting emissions of mercury and other hazardous air pollutants began in April of this year, the court said by a vote of 5-4 earlier today that the EPA failed to take their cost into account when the agency first decided to regulate the toxic emissions from coal and oil-fired power plants. Writing for the court, Justice Scalia said that it is not appropriate to impose billions of dollars of economic costs in return for a few dollars in health and environmental benefits. He also added that the EPA must consider cost, including cost of compliance, before deciding whether regulation is appropriate and necessary. As for now, the case goes back to the lower courts for the EPA for them to then decide how much to account for costs. Scalia also wrote the EPA decided to regulate power plants to improve public health and the environment. Even the agency estimated that it would cost power plants nearly $10 billion a year, but the EPA refused to consider whether the cost of its decision outweighed the benefits. The agency gave no cost thought at all, he says rather in his writing, because it considered cost irrelevant to its initial decision to regulate. This report goes back to this past Friday. You may recall that I taped the show very early that morning with coverage of the Montgomery County Fiscal Court. We centered on the discussion that took place pertaining to the budget. We'll wrap up coverage of the Fiscal Court meeting in just a few moments. There was a report that came out while I was gone that afternoon, and we'll be sure to include it in tonight's programming. A former state representative, that being from Pikeville, and a Pikeville coal operator, Wendell Keith Hall, has been convicted by a jury of bribing a mine official. After a trial that lasted 5 days, the jury only needed 90 minutes to deliberate and then find him guilty. Keith Hall, who represented House District 93 in the Kentucky General Assembly, was found guilty of paying Mine Reclamation Officer Kelly Shortridge for favorable treatment in connection with his official duties from 2006 through 2011, when Shortridge inspected mines that were owned by the representative, and Shortridge ignored violations that occurred on Hall's property in exchange for a series of payments that totaled at least $46,000. The two men would disguise the payments as consulting fees. A shell company was set up in the name of Shortridge's wife, and then she opened up a bank account with her as the sole authorized signatory on the account, or a bank account was opened as her being the sole authorized signatory on the account, and Hall used a company he owned, S&K Properties, to funnel money to Shortridge through their company to make the payments appear as legitimate business expenses. Kerry Harvey, who is the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Kentucky, says that Mr. Hall's brazen scheme to corrupt an important governmental function for his personal benefit is made all the more egregious by his former status as a member of the Kentucky General Assembly, and the United States will seek a sentence which properly reflects the serious nature of his criminal conduct. He faces a maximum of 10 years in prison, while Shortridge pled guilty earlier this year in February and is set to be formally sentenced on the 6th day of August. There's an unlimited selection of new and pre-owned vehicles right at your fingertips, with 9 acres of inventory and 7 different franchises, all at one location. Hutch, Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Call Chevy, Buick, and GMC at 297-4066 or Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram at 297-5066. Where selection, satisfaction, and service after you're sold are all guaranteed. To get high-speed internet on their state-of-the-art fiber optic network for all of your home and business solutions, or to watch TV without a contract on over 200 digital channels with superb quality, or stay connected with family and friends with 24/7 telephone service you can always depend on, contact Foothills Broadband today. Or just click on their link to the right to find out how they're working to provide the latest in communications at affordable prices with exceptional service at Foothills Broadband. Well, more than 1,000 Kentucky Power customers in Montgomery County were without the utility service for several hours over the course of the weekend as it relates to 2 separate power failures not directly related to the weather, which was actually calm at the time. And that's saying a lot given the active weather pattern that we've been stuck in. Nevertheless, the first power outage fell around Saturday evening, 6:30 or so. It was a major outage from the Route 7 intersection there in town at the Rescue Squad building, east to 114, Burning Fork, New 460, Mash Fork. Well over 1,000 customers were without service for several hours beginning Saturday evening. Kentucky Power did respond to the scene, and they were assisted by the Montgomery County Rescue Squad, and after some searching, they found the problem in Phoenix Hollow off of Mash Fork, all the way at the head of the hollow. There was a downed tree, a dead tree, that had fallen against some three-phase lines, all of them, and then kicked the breaker at the Falcon substation. The Montgomery County Rescue Squad used their UTVs and side-by-sides to transport the men and their equipment all the way to the scene at the head of the hollow. Here you can see them removing the tree, and then after that they discovered a broken insulator, which means that they had to go back and then retrieve some other climbing gear and other equipment, and that resulted in another 1-hour repair on top of the initial clearing. Altogether, about 3 hours without power. It was interesting to note that they told the Montgomery County Rescue Squad without their assistance and transport to the area, if the men had to walk it and carry their equipment, it would have been another 2 to 3 hours on top of that. Another reason to thank your local volunteers, rescue and fire personnel. And then early Sunday morning, I slept through this one, starting at around 6:15 in Sagersville, Route 40, 460 West, the Elk Creek area, several hundred, I don't have an exact number, but at least several hundred customers without power for about 2 hours total. Kentucky Power says that they were actually searching for the downed location, and a resident just a short distance above the newsroom here on East Maple Street or Route 40 stopped them and said that they had heard a large sound and saw some sparks flying from where a tree limb had fallen onto some lines. That again kicked out a breaker at the Falcon substation. That again required AEP and Kentucky Power to remove the tree. They found the lines to be okay. About another 2 hours without power for those residents from about 6 till 8:30 or so. Your calendar coming up in just a few moments. Right now, 4th of July activities, as I reported to you last week, have changed. It's a complete change of the schedule, which we normally see on an annual basis here in Montgomery County. So I'll make mention of it one more time with a reminder coming a little later on in the week as well. And right now, when you come across an umbrella this week, you might want to hang on to it. Might need it. I'm hoping that the weather forecast is going to change and improve between now and then, but we'll have to wait and see, obviously. Nevertheless, the 4th of July happens here in Montgomery County this weekend, as it does most everywhere else. And on Friday night, the Watermelon Social featuring the Kyle Douglas Band. They'll be rocking it out in the Ramey Park starting at 7. Then the band will start to perform, and then the fireworks will begin around 9:45 when it's nice and dark. So it's going to be a great evening in the Ramey Park. Bring yourself, bring some family, friends, and bring a lawn chair. Bring a blanket with you. Umbrella, that's a good backup to have. It's all free. The Watermelon is free, and of course all the entertainment sponsored by the Sagersville Renaissance organization. I'm sure some other folks that we'll have to thank at a little later time, but nevertheless the Watermelon Social is this Friday, and the fireworks are this Friday due to a scheduling conflict with the 4th of July actually falling on Saturday this time around, the first time since 1998. But there's still a lot happening on Saturday, and it will kick off with the 4th of July parade on Saturday. That will start at 1. Streets will be closed down at noon. They'll line up the parade where they customarily do at Joy Global and the Montgomery County Funeral Home. And, of course, that will be followed that evening by downtown Sagersville street dancing. As they did last year, they're taking it to the streets. It will be in front of the courthouse on the streets. Live music by the Joseph family, called by Wendell Hoskins, and all these events, like everything else, free to the public. So Friday and Saturday with the 4th of July fireworks on Friday night this time around, that's your schedule of events. I know that Paintsville's fireworks, they will be going off on the 4th, Saturday the 4th, around 9:30, 10:15, whenever it's good and dark. Keep that in mind. Nope, that is the Prestonsburg fireworks. I think that Paintsville's are the same time, but I haven't got that verified. That's what I meant to say. So another day or so, I'll outline all the events. So with Montgomery County's being on the 3rd, the fireworks, you might be able to take in a little bit of everything this time around. I'll keep you up to date. Now, to get more up to date, here's tonight's Montgomery County Farm Bureau sponsored community calendar. And due to this being the 4th of July weekend and the 4th of July celebration, there won't be any picking and grinning at Kearney Free Will Baptist Church. So it's been postponed. They say happy 4th of July. They hope you have a safe and happy Independence Day. And another reminder that I've got plenty of time to keep you reminded about the meeting but it's something that you can always find out more about, and that's becoming a foster or adoptive parent for the Cabinet for Health and Family Services. They've organized an informational meeting to be held in Prestonsburg on the 4th floor of the First Commonwealth Bank. It's going to be July the 30th, so you've got a long time before the meeting, but you don't have to wait that long to find out more. I'll remind you about the meeting when it gets a bit closer, but to find out more information, you can call Melissa Turner at 349-3122. And you could call me to have an announcement placed on the program. You can drop them in the mail at P.O. Box 1443. You can fax them into 349-3221. Email them to yournewstoday@yahoo.com. Facebook them to Ritt or Mortimer on Facebook. And remember, you can always catch programming in case you missed it the first time or need to see it again the next day on yournewstoday.com. Turning to funeral service announcements this evening, services were held yesterday for Joyce Ann Mullins Elam, 70, of Campton, who passed away on the 26th. She's survived by sons Randy, Matthew, and Joseph Elam, and daughters Jennifer Rao and Reva King. Burial was at the Miller Cemetery at Lee City. Once again, services held yesterday in honor of 70-year-old Joyce Ann Mullins Elam. 60-year-old Lanson Stevens of Sagersville passed away on the 27th, the son of the late Chester and Flora Dunn Stevens. He was married to Bethel Patrick Stevens, who survives, and he's also survived by his son Sean Patrick and a daughter Janet Stevens. Visitation continues this evening and up until services. They've been set for tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock, visitation and services from the Fritz Church of God. Burial will be at the Bryce Patrick Cemetery at Fritz. The McGoffin County Funeral Home is in care of all arrangements. Other announcements include those for 67-year-old Emma Vanderpool Mans of South River Road, who passed away on June the 26th. She survived by her husband Sherman Mans, as well as sons David and Ricky Mans, and a daughter, Lena Mans. Visitation is this evening and prior to services. They'll start tomorrow afternoon at 1 in her honor. Both visitation and service from the McGoffin County Funeral Home Chapel, with burial afterwards at the Menifee Watson Cemetery at Tip Top. Once again, services to be held tomorrow at 1 o'clock for 67-year-old Emma Vanderpool Mans of South River Road. And 78-year-old Leroy Gullett of Brushy Fork Road passed away on the 27th, survived by his wife Maxine Lane Gullett. He's survived as well by daughter Regina Howard. Visitation is this evening, all day tomorrow, and prior to services that will start Wednesday at 1. Visitation and services from the McGoffin County Funeral Home. Burial will be afterwards at the Cooper Cemetery on Lick Creek. To get high-speed internet on their state-of-the-art fiber optic network for all of your home and business solutions, or to watch TV without a contract on over 200 digital channels with superb quality, or stay connected with family and friends with 24/7 telephone service you can always depend on, contact Foothills Broadband today. Or just click on their link to the right to find out how they're working to provide the latest in communications at affordable prices with exceptional service at Foothills Broadband. And, of course, one of our headlines was to be completing coverage of the special session of the McGoffin County Fiscal Court that was held on Thursday. They did discuss legally pursuing delinquent garbage bills, as well as several other items of business that we do need to cover. Just running a bit short on time, and with a tornado watch in effect, need to devote just a little bit more to the weather this evening. So we'll do that, and I will begin tomorrow night's program with that continuing or final coverage of that particular meeting of the McGoffin County Fiscal Court. My apologies. With all that said, here's what I had to say about the weather. We do have, of course, that tornado watch expiring at 9 p.m. No warnings, none expected at this time. Just the conditions that could have been ripe for some rotating activity, but we've not seen any. We have seen some showers and thunderstorms, and we're going to continue throughout the evening. And as you can see, the viewing area at the 6 o'clock hour was still dotted with some activity on that front. None have been severe at this point either, but your run-of-the-mill shower and some accompanied with some thunderstorms. That's not to say that we don't have the possibility of some ramping up to severe status for the rest of your evening. So with that watch in effect until 9 o'clock, we'll also see showers and storms, and really it's not a question of whether or not there will be any, as we just saw. It's just where they will be. So we have a chance of those thunderstorms tonight, really up until about 1 a.m., a slight chance thereafter. Some could be on the severe side, so being weather attentive this evening, obviously a good sign. And I don't think there's going to be a day anytime in the near future that you don't need to keep your eye on the weather to some degree. Tonight's low of 64 degrees should be followed by right around 81 tomorrow. We will see a slight chance of some showers and thunderstorms likely afternoon, some patchy fog starting off tomorrow. We'll see winds becoming calm to 5 to 8 in the morning. We'll see the potential of another quarter to maybe a half inch of rainfall, except in some of those possible heavy thunderstorms. Tomorrow night, we'll see thunderstorms possible as well, mostly cloudy skies. Wednesday, a little more sunshine returning, starting off with a little fog. Still, you're going to see temperatures staying very comfortable for days on end. 81 midweek, a low of 65. Showers and storms are a great possibility into your Wednesday, and then Thursday as well. 77, 64. The showers having a little bit to do with temperatures falling back down into the 70s, but showers and storms aren't likely on your Thursday, and that could be off and on throughout the entire day and evening on Thursday. Right now, of course, a lot of eyes on Friday as that will begin the 4th of July weekend for a lot of folks. Right now, I don't have great news. I've got mostly cloudy skies and a half and half. 50% shot of showers and thunderstorms. It's definitely going to be cooler. We're talking about 77 and 66 for your high and low. We're going to see an 11-degree swing for daytime highs and nighttime lows on Friday, the 3rd of July. Independence Day, we should see closer to 80. The clouds are staying put. So are the same chances of showers and thunderstorms. Temperatures nearly the same. We're talking about 80 and 65, a 15-degree swing, but we are going to see 80. I think we'll even see for the last of your Independence Day weekend, even on Sunday, the same pattern, mostly cloudy. 50% threat of showers and storms. Temperatures in the low 80s, right at around 81. Hoping to make a few adjustments between now and the end of your week, weather-wise, for the 4th of July weekend. We'll have to see how that pans out. For now, that's my time and maybe a little more. Thank you for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow night.